It told me the lake house was a joke, a crumbling shack on poison water, left to me as an insult by a grandmother they claimed never loved me. But when I pried up the rotting floorboard beneath her rocking chair, I found the brass key and the journal that proved my ex didn't just steal my life. He helped bury a murder. The reading of the will was held in the marble foyer of my ex-husband's penthouse law firm. Rain lashed the windows like it was trying to break in. My name wasn't called until last. Till Eleanor Vance. The lawyer droned, not even looking up from his gold-rimmed glasses. The property at 7 Blackwater Cove, including all fixtures and sentimental debris. Laughter rippled through the room. My ex's new fiancée, Lila, smirked into her champagne flute. Marcus, my ex, stood beside her in a tailored charcoal suit, hand resting possessively on her lower back. Sentimental debris? He echoed, voice smooth as poison honey. That's generous, considering the place floods every spring and smells like dead fish. You'll need waiters just to find the front door, Ellie. He didn't call me Ellie anymore. Not since he emptied our joint accounts, forged my signature on the divorce papers while I was in the hospital recovering from the accidental fall down our stairs, and convinced the judge I was too unstable to keep anything, including my grandmother's antique locket, the only thing I'd asked for. Now, standing there in my thrift store coat, shivering not from cold but from the raw, public stripping of my dignity, I clutched the deed like it was made of glass. It's yours, Marcus said, finally meeting my eyes with a smile that didn't touch them. Consider it your consolation prize. Don't expect us to visit. The drive north took 2 days in my rattling Honda, paid for with the last of my cash from selling my wedding ring at a pawn shop. Blackwater Cove wasn't on any tourist map. The road dissolved into gravel, then mud, winding through skeletal pines under a bruised, perpetually overcast sky. The locals in the lone gas station town, Hollow's End, eyed me with suspicion bordering on hostility. Blackwater Place? The mechanic grunted when I asked for directions, wiping grease off his hands. Ain't been livable since the old lady died. Place is cursed. Water turned black after the incident. He wouldn't say more. The incident was my grandmother's sudden, unexplained death 6 months prior. Officially, heart failure. Marcus had handled everything. Quietly, efficiently. I arrive at dusk. The lake house was a sagging, cedar-shingled relic perched precariously on rotting pilings above a stagnant, ink-dark stretch of water that gave the cove its name. Windows were boarded. The porch listed dangerously. Weeds choked the path. It looked exactly like what Marcus said. Worthless, abandoned. A final, cruel punchline. I slept in the car that first night, listening to the groan of the structure and the unsettling silence of the cove, broken only by the occasional, heavy splash from the black water below. Survival meant grit. I spent my last $200 on basic tools, bleach, and canned beans. Days bled into weeks of back-breaking labor, hauling out decades of rodent nests and mildewed furniture, patching holes in the roof with scavenged tarps, battling the pervasive damp that seeped into my bones. The isolation was crushing. My only human contact was Ben, the gruff but kind-hearted owner of the only hardware store in Hollow's End, who started leaving extra supplies by mistake on my porch. "Place has history, girl," he muttered one rainy afternoon, helping me wrestle a moldy mattress out the door. Old Mrs. Vance, she was sharp as a tack till the end. Didn't trust easy, especially not city lawyers sniffing around her land. He mentioned the Blackwater again, how it appeared overnight after Gran's death, killing the fish, driving away the few remaining summer folk. Folks say it was grief, Ben shrugged, but his eyes held a deeper unease. I say poison don't happen by accident. His words planted a seed. Why would Marcus care about a worthless shack? Why the rush to declare Gran's death natural? The trigger came during a violent thunderstorm. A section of the already rotted porch collapsed into the churning black water below. As I assessed the damage the next morning, knee-deep in mud, I noticed something odd. The exposed foundation pilings near the collapse weren't just wood. Embedded deep within the mud and tangled roots were thick, rusted metal struts, bolted to concrete footings that looked far newer than the house itself. And leading down from the collapsed porch edge, almost invisible unless you were looking right at it from this angle, was a narrow, algae-slicked metal ladder descending into the murk. It wasn't part of the original structure. It was an access point, hidden, deliberate. My heart hammered against my ribs. Gran's voice echoed in my memory, a phrase she'd whispered to me as a child whenever I felt lost. Asterisk, look beneath the surface, Ellie girl. Truth hides where the light won't go. Asterisk beneath the surface. Beneath the rotting porch. Beneath the black water. Diving into the freezing, opaque water felt like entering tomb. Groping blindly along the slimy ladder, I found a heavy, circular hatch set into the concrete foundation, sealed with a wheel like a submarine's. It resisted, fused by rust and time. Back on land, fueled by desperation and Ben's borrowed blowtorch, I worked for hours. Finally, with a shriek of protesting metal, the wheel turned. The hatch swung inward, revealing not water, but dry, cool darkness smelling of dust and oil. Descending the steep metal stairs inside, flashlight beam trembling, I emerged into a space that stole my breath. Below the derelict shack was a pristine, climate-controlled bunker. Gleaming steel shelves lined the walls, stacked not with money, but with meticulously organized files, bound ledgers, and rows of external hard drives. In the center sat a sturdy oak desk. On it lay Gran's familiar, worn leather journal, the one Marcus had claimed was lost, and a single, sealed envelope addressed to me in her looping script. Hand shaking, I opened it. "My dearest Ellie," it began. Asterisk, if you're reading this, Marcus found a way to cheat you. He's been stealing from my offshore accounts for years, laundering money through shell companies linked to that development project poisoning our cove. He needed me gone before I exposed him. The heart attack, cyanide in my evening tea. The proof is here. The ledger codes are the dates of your birthdays. Use them. Look beneath the surface. Justice is patient, but it sees. Asterisk, I stopped being the victim. I became the hunter. The ledgers cross-referenced with Gran's coded entries. My 16th birthday unlocked the Cayman account transfers. My 25th revealed the dummy corporation names. Detailed Marcus's embezzlement empire. Millions siphoned from Gran's legitimate investments, funneled into illegal dumping operations that turned Blackwater Cove toxic, killing the ecosystem and tanking nearby property values so his developer cronies could buy cheap. Gran had been gathering evidence for the SEC and EPA. Marcus killed her to stop it, and he'd given me this house, this hidden vault, thinking it was a joke, unaware Gran had built her secret archive beneath it, accessible only from the waterside he assumed I'd never brave. My vulnerability was now my weapon. I couldn't trust local cops. Marcus had connections everywhere. But Gran's journal mentioned a retired FBI agent, Frank Delaney, who'd investigated Marcus's early shady deals and been forced out. Ben knew him. Lives up past Miller's Ridge, keeps to himself. I drove there at dawn. Frank, weathered but sharp-eyed, listened in grim silence as I laid out the ledgers. The journal, the hard drives containing encrypted financial trails and damning emails between Marcus and the toxic waste company CEO. "He's slippery," Frank rasped, tapping a photo of Marcus shaking hands with a state senator. "Connected. He'll know you found this if you blink wrong." He helped me copy everything onto encrypted drives. One went to a secure Dropbox Frank controlled. Another, with a dead man switch time to release everything to major news outlets and federal agencies if I didn't reset it weekly, went into a waterproof case buried deep in the bunker. "Now," Frank said, a dangerous glint in his eye, "we make him come to you. Leak a tiny, tantalizing piece. Something only someone guilty would recognize as a threat." We chose a single, seemingly innocuous line from Gran's journal mentioning a specific, falsified invoice number Marcus would know was buried deep in his scheme. Ben, posing as a curious local historian, accidentally let it slip to a bartender Marcus's investigator had been bribing in Hollow's End. He came faster than we expected. Not with lawyers, with muscle. 2 nights later, headlights cut through the storm-lashed darkness, illuminating the ruined porch. Heavy footsteps crunched on gravel. I was ready, Crouched behind the reinforced steel door of the bunker entrance inside the house, Frank hidden in the tree lean with binoculars and a phone dialed to 911 on speaker. The front door splintered open. Marcus stepped inside, impeccably dressed even in the downpour, flanked by a hulking man with cold eyes. A flashlight beam swept the gutted main room. "Eleanor," Marcus called, his voice echoing, falsely jovial. "Playing hide and seek in Grandma's mausoleum? How quaint." He kicked aside a pile of debris. "Give me the journal and the drives, Ellie. Walk away. You get to live. This place burns tonight, anyway. Insurance claims already filed." The thug moved towards the kitchen, towards the hidden hatch entrance disguised as a root cellar door. Panic surged. "Look beneath the surface," Grand's words. The surface was the house. The truth was below. I slammed the bunker's interior steel door shut and threw the heavy bolt just as the thug reached the root cellar. His fist pounded on the metal. "Marcus! She's down here! Seal hatch!" Marcus's polished mask shattered. He roared, slamming his fist against the door. "You stupid bitch! You think hiding in a hole saves you? I own this county! I'll have you buried in it!" He pulled a gun from his coat. "Open this door, or I start shooting through it." Bullets sparked off the steel inches from my head. I fumbled for the bunker's internal comms system Gran had installed, a direct line to Frank's cabin. "Now, Frank!" I screamed. Sirens wailed in the distance, cutting through the storm. Frank had triggered the emergency call the moment Marcus drew his weapon. Red and blue lights strobed through the broken windows. Marcus froze, face contorted with rage and terror. "You set me up," he spat, firing wildly at the ceiling before shoving his thug towards the shattered front door. "Go. Lose them." They fled into the storm. But Frank, waiting, stepped out of the trees, his own service pistol steady. "Federal Bureau of Investigation, Marcus Vance." "Drop the weapon. Hands where I can see them." Marcus hesitated, the gun trembling in his hand, the rain plastering his expensive hair to his skull. The sirens were deafening now, closing fast. The polished lawyer was gone. Only a cornered, desperate criminal remained. He dropped the gun with a clatter, sinking to his knees in the mud as deputies swarmed him. Justice wasn't instant, but it was absolute. The encrypted drives Frank secured were treasure trove. Marcus faced federal charges: embezzlement, environmental crimes, witness tampering, and, thanks to Gran's meticulous notes and a Tox report, Frank pushed for on her exhumed remains, first-degree murder. His empire crumbled. Assets frozen. The senator resigned in disgrace. The toxic dumping stopped. Remediation crews arrived at Blackwater Cove within weeks, the water slowly clearing. The court reversed Marcus's fraudulent claims on Gran's estate. Everything, the offshore accounts, the stocks, even the penthouse, was mine. But I didn't want the penthouse or the city. I wanted the lake house. Today, the cedar shingles are new. The porch is sturdy, wide, and welcoming. Sunlight glints off clean water where the blackness used to be. Dragonflies dart over lily pads. Inside, the main room is warm and filled with light. Gran's rocking chair restored to its place by the window. Downstairs, the bunker remains, its secrets now safe, its evidence archived with the authorities. But it's no longer a hiding place. It's a legacy. My legacy. I sit on the porch swing, Gran's locket, returned to me by the evidence locker, cool against my skin. Ben brings over fresh-caught fish. Frank stops by sometimes, just to check the view. The betrayal still stings, a scar beneath the surface. But so does the strength I found down there in the dark. Gran's final lesson echoes, not as a whisper of fear, but as a declaration. Look beneath the surface, I did. And I found not just justice, but myself. And this, my home, my future, built on truth, reclaimed from the ruins. If this story of betrayal, hidden secrets, and ultimate justice gripped you, give it a thumbs up. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who loves a good twist. Subscribe for more real-feel suspense dramas where the underdog wins and the truth always surfaces. What would you have done in Ellie's shoes? Let us know in the comments below.